What's up, good people? What's up, good people? It's your boy, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., the Impact Builder. It's another Mindset, Motivate, Move Monday. I'm going to ask you, as I've always asked you every Monday, how was your weekend? Did you do something fun? I don't know about y'all, but I'm into the NBA Finals, and I was watching the finals. I believe it was Friday night. I think that's when the game 2 was in New York. I'm not I don't have a favorite team. I actually like the Spurs, but I just think that there's something about New York, and I've been telling everybody that's in my circle that it's something about New York this year, and I really think that they're gonna win it. And they're up 2-0, but there's just an energy about them, and I gotta say this real quick so I can get into my week. There's an energy watching the game. New York, yeah, they're a different breed. I know we as Baltimoreans, we different, but New York is on a whole nother level. So during the NBA Finals, if you haven't watched it, New York has 5 boroughs, and them folks up in New York in all 5 boroughs were watching the game outside. I know there were thousands inside Madison Square Garden, but there was another thousands upon thousands of thousands just out in their neighborhood. They had the big screens out, and everybody was out enjoying the game, having a good time, enjoying the game, cheering the Knicks on, and it's a beautiful sight. I love it. I'm congratulating, for the first 2 games, because they still got 2 more to win. So the Knicks is just bringing a city together. A state together, city together, because it's New York, and it's bringing a country together, because it's great to see, and we need this right about now. So I'm happy to see that. If you haven't watched the NBA Finals, check it out tonight, because what I'm talking about right now, it's going to be a fiasco, and I just wish I didn't have to say that, but it's going to be a fiasco tonight, with everything that's going on and who's supposed to be there, and I'm not going to go into that and everything like that, but I watched the NBA Finals this weekend, and it's going to be, it's going to be interesting to see tonight because of everything that's supposed to happen. So anyway, this week, y'all know I got something for you. This week, we're talking about addicted to leadership. Remember I said, are you addicted to chaos? Well, this one is not asking you, are you addicted to chaos? This is saying addicted to leadership. This is for those, I don't want you to fall in this trap. It's 5 leadership traps that quietly destroy your influence. So I don't want you, these are traps that we're going to talk about, not the ATL trap, y'all, not the TI trap that he talked about down there down south. This is a leadership trap, and this is where we don't want you to fall into, because if you fall into this category, you'll find yourself not being the influencer that you want to be, not being the leader that you're supposed to be, because the average leadership conversation focuses on what leaders should do versus the conversation that we're going to have today we're going to be focusing on leaders should avoid, what you should avoid. I know you have all the conversations about what you need to be as a leader and all that, but here's what this week, what the focus is going to be, what you need to avoid, how to avoid being that bad leader. We don't want you to fall into these traps. So we're going to talk about these 5 leadership traps all this week. We're going to talk about mastering your leadership, protecting your influence, and then preserving your legacy. Those are just things that we're going to cover this weekend and what we'll talk about. And today, we're going to talk about the validation trap. You don't know any leaders like that? The validation trap. Don't want you to fall into that validation trap. We don't want you to fall into that trap of the leader that needs validation, or that thrives off of validation. You know anybody like that? If you know anybody like that, tell them they need to be tuned in today. Send this video to them so that they can watch it, because we're going to be talking about them so that they can get out of that trap that they're in. So here's the validation trap. When leadership becomes your source of approval. When leadership becomes the source of your approval. Say, many leaders secretly need to be needed. That's what fuels them. That's what gives them energy. They need to be needed. If they're not needed, then they feel like that they don't have any validation. They thrive on being the hero. They thrive on being recognized. They got to be recognized and everything. Does this sound familiar, y'all? Yeah. Watch the NBA Finals tonight, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and see if this is not one of those leaders that we're talking about. They thrive on being the person everyone depends on. Does that sound familiar? Hopefully, hopefully, it's not you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the person that's next to you right now. So I want you to understand. Here's the problem with that, though. Here's the problem with that. And what happens is their identity becomes attached to people's applause. Them always giving them accolades, always shining the light on them. Because here's what happens, and I want you to think about this week. I want you to think about leadership versus validation. And this is how you don't fall into that validation trap. What's leadership and what is do you feel a need to be validated? Does everything that you do have to have validation? Do you need people constantly patting you on the back? Do you need those that work for you constantly telling you, oh, you're doing a great job or you're doing a good job? As a leader, I want you to think about that. The second thing I want you to think about is why some leaders need constant recognition. Why do you think that these type of leaders need that constant recognition and validation? Because if you can answer that, then you can understand how you keep yourself from falling into that trap. And then here's the danger of building your self-worth around influence. Because when you build your self-worth around influence, what happens is when that influence isn't always there for you, what you do is you're always seeking to do it. So you'll do any and everything to get that influence, to keep that influence. And truth be told, that's what's happening to me. This is what's happening in this social media digital era that we live in. People who are so-called influencers are constantly seeking that influence. So they're willing to do any and everything in order to be able to keep that influence. So they'll do these skits and they'll do all of this performing in order to be able to keep the influence and to be recognized. So that's the thing. How validation clouds decision making. Does validation cloud your decision making? Those that fall into the validation trap are those leaders who will make bad decisions, like I just talked about. They're always looking to be able to do something, to perform in some kind of way in order to be able to get that validation. They're seeking that validation. They got to be the loudest one in the room. They got to be the one that all of the attention is on them. So they make decisions based around that influence, based around getting that validation from people. That's not that. This is what we're trying to get you to avoid this week. All this week is about not falling into these traps. And this is the first one, the validation trap. And then here's what I want you to hold on to. I want you to hold on to today. The moment you need leadership to feel valuable, leadership has become your addiction. I'm going to say that again. I think I need to say that. I think I need to say that again, Vernon. I think I need to say that again, Vernon. The moment you need leadership to feel valuable, leadership has become your addiction. It is this type of leadership? Are you addicted to this? Are you this kind of leader? Are you addicted to leadership versus being a leader? There's a difference. There's some that are addicted to leadership. I don't want you to be one of those leaders. You are not. You can't be around me. You can't be listening to me right now and be an addicted to leadership type of person. We're gonna get that out of you today. And we're gonna get you to be able to avoid the first trap, which is the validation trap. And here's the question I'm leaving for you. This is your homework. I want you to use this question as your homework. Would you still lead if nobody applauded? Would you still lead if nobody applauded? I want you to think about that today. Y'all know it's Mindset, Motivate, Move Monday. Where's your mindset this morning? What kind of leader are you? Are you an a leader that is addicted to validation, or are you a leader that is a leader and influence and validation isn't what you seek at every turn? Those leaders that seek influence, that seek validation, are addicted leaders in this 21st century, and we're not having any more addicted leaders in our space. It's your boy, the Impact Builder, Dr. Leroy McKinney Jr. That's what I got for you today. Now, if you want to go into more detail, all this week, when we talk about this, and it's going to lead up to Friday. I need you to join me Friday on LinkedIn. Won't be we're not doing a masterclass. I'm doing a webinar for the Character-Driven Leadership Cafe. So join us in the cafe. We're doing a webinar this coming Friday. It's only going to be an hour from 2 to 3. We're doing a webinar on the 5 levels of leadership. We're going to end this week doing the 5 levels of leadership. So we're talking leadership all this week. We don't want you to be addicted to leadership. So what we do, you can, if you want to go into greater detail this week, hit me up. Y'all know what to do. In the description is the calendar, so you can schedule your strategy session. We can go into greater detail about this leadership thing that we're talking about. We can make you a greater leader. We can put you on the path to elite leadership this week. So schedule that strategy session. And we can talk about your vision. We can talk about how we can bring that vision of you being an elite leader to fruition, to reality, and make you the leader that you've been called to be. Impact Builder, we out. Let's go.